Thanks for watching The Instant Reaction. For full episodes of the Cannon Podcast, sign up as a YouTube member on this channel or go to patreon.com/thecannonpod. Well, we take those, don't we? Jesus Christ. Welcome back to The Instant Reaction on the Cannon Podcast with Alexander Moneypenny and my very good friend, Bhavs14. That was stressful.
Too stressful for my liking, but welcome to the Champions League, I guess.
Dilly ding, dilly dong, man.
We are Champions League guys, and look, we survived. We hung in there. You can look at it in two ways. One, it's the perfect experience. The team grows, it learns. It was mature. I also look at it in a sense of like they survived, and I respect that. But partly a bit frustrated in how we ended that game in the sense of a little bit more composure. When you're bringing on Nketiah and you're bringing on Trossard and co, especially Nketiah, I wanted just a little bit more composure going forwards. Yeah. It seems like sometimes he's coming off the bench nowadays, and I don't know if it's the fact that he's not starting and he's not happy with it, but he kind of just kills the energy in our attack sometimes. Either slows it down or gives away a foul. Just those little things where, as a fan watching, is very frustrating. So, look, we survived. I can't complain too much, and a win is a win. But I think the improvement for me is in future occasions when we're in that moment, just compose yourself. So you're not down to 10 men, you know. That's how it felt like towards the end.
Tranquilo.
Yeah, and I think it is probably a youth thing where the team's like, oh, hang on a minute. And I guess in the Premier League, they might.
Have I bugged out or have you bugged out? Has Bhavs gone? Oh, Bhavs has gone. Okay, I'll take over. Yes, it was one of those games where we can look at it in many different ways, as you know, as you can with most games, but specifically with this one, I think you could take all the positives from that and say, that was a great win in the Champions League, and we won away in Spain for the first time since R.I.P. Mr. Field Tilt. Very funny. We could say first time we won away in the Champions League since 2006, and like half our players weren't even born then, and all that sort of stuff in Spain. Sorry, fantastic. We dug in, we got the victory, whatever, we got the points, whatever. That all of that is true, and I think at the same time we can also say that we probably made that more stressful than it needed to be. I think that's probably fair. I think, let's break down some stuff. So I thought the first half we were okay. I felt we were sort of similar in many ways to how we've been playing recently anyway, in terms of the last couple of weeks, which is probably understandable. I thought we were a lot better at playing through the thirds. I think it helps being in Europe. But I think the main tactical switch that I saw was on the slant from Tomiyasu. In terms of being in the midfield on the slant against Rice, and that was really nice. And I thought it really worked and allowed us to get out, which was lovely. Playing through the thirds, I thought, what else did we do? I thought we got out pretty nicely. I thought we were varying our play a little bit more than we had been, switching the ball, trying different ways of progressing, which was fine. But Sevilla hung in. Sevilla hung really tight, and I thought did really well. So credit to them. And then one moment happens, and this is the thing: is we could have been sat here after a game where it was 1-1, or that moment where they scored the set piece, and we're all complaining, and we're all saying, this didn't go for us today, our finishing's off, whatever. But all it took was one moment, right? One moment, well, two moments for us certainly. And this is the thing: we're playing a game of very fine margins, and we have to accept that. And the thing that I really loved was seeing Arteta's response, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but the camera immediately cut to him. He'd seen an amazing bit of skill from Jesus. Martinelli's gone through, and he's talking to his coaching staff. He's saying, this needs to change, this needs to change. And that is the point. The one thing you can do in life, but also mainly in football, is focus on what you can control. Focus on what you can control. What can we do better? And then all those moments, those little things, those little margins, they will start to go for you. So I was really, really pleased with that, because this definitely was another day where we'd be saying, "Oh, our attack's not clicking," whatever. And I think that's fair because, especially during the first half, our attack wasn't clicking. I thought our final third play was poor, to be honest. I thought in terms of how we connect in the final third, in terms of Saka. Is he unfit? Is he just not clicking? Is he out of form? Is he? I don't know what's going on with him. Everything seemed late. Everything seemed mistimed, or so on and so forth. I don't think it was quite right. And then towards the end of the first half, we get that moment, and the whole mood changes. And then we come out the second half, and we look fantastic, right? And I think Sevilla were really sort of shaken by that in sort of the story of the game. But yeah, I choose to take the positives from this. I don't. I will talk about the negatives, but I think we should really, really focus on the idea that broadly we've seen a fantastic, away win in the Champions League. It's not to ignore the positives, but I think we should take as many as we can from tonight, because we might come away from that game thinking, intense crowd. We had to dig in at the end, and it was a bit scary, and especially on the instant reaction, we all want to go, well, this wasn't right, this wasn't right. But if we take a step back, we can go, okay. Big game, big night. We dug in. Declan Rice, fantastic performance away in Spain, first win since 2006 in Spain. So there's a lot of positives. We will discuss the negatives, and Bhavs is back to do it. You're all right, mate.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear me, but my internet cut off, so gonna have to have a word with those guys there. But yeah, we're back. I don't know what you discussed there, but I probably agree with what you said.
Sort of run through the game. I think I'm broadly saying that I think there was some problems this evening, but I think we shouldn't ignore the positives. But let's linger on some of those problems that we did have. I thought I've discussed before about the first half and our sort of lack of cohesion in the final third. But let's come to some individual performances in terms of what people I know will want us to talk about is David Raya's performance. I think there was a tweet from Gunner Blog, which I want to get up, which I think is absolutely bang on the money. And Gunner Blog says, no, not Gunner Blog, sorry, Gunner Punner. He says, I feel like Raya plays exactly how Arteta wants, but not at the level he needs, but he's okay with that. Like, he'll try to play the right pass every time, but mess up a bunch of them. And we're not okay with it, but Arteta seems to be. And that is exactly how I feel about Raya. I think Raya's trying to do the right things, and that's why Arteta sticks with him, but his execution is off at the minute. That's what I feel.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if the mistakes are a phase or if they're just him as a player, because I've seen him play in Brentford. I've seen him obviously play for the first few Arsenal games, and I didn't see this level of mistakes. So I think people need to understand that goalkeepers are very much confidence based, and right now that confidence is getting drained out of him with the mistakes that he's making. And is it down to himself quality wise, or is it how Arteta is asking him to play? That of course is the question long term wise, but I think we'll see over the course of the season how it plays out. And that's why I'm not going to make a sweeping statement now. Was it 10 games into his Arsenal career?
Yep. Yeah, there's. I just want to get the tweet up because I think it's exactly how I feel. I think it's bang on. And we're dealing with a goalkeeper and we're dealing with a coach who is trying to change how we look in the goal. And trying to get the absolute maximum out of every single position. And I think this is really it. Says Raya's principled. I know there will be people who say you don't give Raya enough criticism. He wasn't good enough tonight. He made mistakes. It was poor. But I think if we're sat here in November, December, and the mistakes are still happening, and we're not getting, we're still getting results. We still, only lost a couple of games. Then at that point, I'll be saying something needs to change. But at the moment, I can see the principles. I just don't think what he's doing is reaching those principles, which is a problem. But equally, I think it's clear what the solution is. And it's been too short of a sample size for me to say that's not, we just need to abandon this idea of trying to move from these principles to these principles, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what we'll see is, I think where he's been fortunate is the mistakes that he's made so far hasn't cost Arsenal. Maybe for the one against Lens, potentially. Most of them have he's got away with it, bit of luck, or, he somehow saved himself. So I think we'll see when it does cost Arsenal, potentially, if he makes it again, what Arteta's reaction will be. Will it be dropped, or will it be, let me keep you in?
Yep. Other possible negatives in terms of controlling the game at the end. You sort of mentioned it earlier on. Do you want to expand on that, like in terms of how we approach that? It did feel. It's a shame we couldn't control the game better towards the end, and I'm not sure I have an immediate response now. I think on the podcast on Thursday I might be able to break it down a little bit more, but right now I don't really know because I need to watch it back. But I think it felt to do with our shape. It felt to do with a little bit of switching off at times. I mean, Jesus is the perfect example. We go out and score that second goal, and then he immediately switches off at the set piece. That felt like a sort of indicative of the team, slightly just being almost shocked by the occasion. I'm not sure it's particularly good analysis. Something to look into it. But yeah, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's come down to a lack of experience and composure, especially with certain players where they end the final third or enter in the final third, and it's just like keep it for a second, like a little second. Instead, they try to force something, try to make something happen. And look, when you're trying to win the game and you're behind or it's 0-0, fair enough. But at that stage where you're up and ahead, and Sevilla have got momentum, you need to find a way to kill it. And I think in this game, we didn't quite do that at all. There was not many players that was trying to slow it down. Little occasions where Jorginho's tried it, and he's got experience. Rice tried it to bring it forwards as well. But I think our attackers off the bench, mainly I think Nketiah, more than Trossard, it was a bit lackluster. I wanted a little bit more, even Havertz as well. I wanted a little bit more in terms of get on the ball, make something happen. You got energy, and let me see that now. And I think it came down to just a bit of panicking on the ball. Relax. You've got a bit of time on yourselves. There's no need to panic. And maybe it's because they haven't had a lot of minutes to play, and they're like, I need to make something happen. I need to stand out straight away. But sometimes in games like that, it's about seeing it out, and then that will help you build credit in the bank.
Yep, big time. Things that you love to see. These two boys. It's a shame with Jesus because it feels almost indicative of his entire career that he goes and pulls that performance out and then immediately goes off with an injury. I hope it's not serious. He looked okay, just from a completely amateur perspective and TV cameras that everyone saw. He looked like he was standing up and he was walking off and he was kind of all right and he was moving okay. But, we'll have to see. I just hope it isn't anything serious. Luckily, it's not his knee, which is his knee has been the issue. So I'm hoping it's a kind of a hamstring issue is what he was touching. But Martinelli, I mean, it just feels like this guy was born for the Champions League and he delivered tonight.
Yeah, that little, that's what I'm talking about, little composure, extra second. When he gets that goal, when he runs the keeper, a lot of players, he had a chance early in the game where he had a similar opportunity and he shot and the keeper saved it. So obviously just learning from that experience alone, he was like, hang on, let me just wait a little second, let him drop first and then easy goal. And I think, the pass from Jesus was amazing, the little bit of dribbling, and that's what he's so good at. That separation he can create in the edge of the box, or edge of the half, sorry. And then the finish was fantastic as well. I think the attack at times really clicked, but in the grand scheme of the game, I don't think it was, I'd say, excellent. I think it was a bit all over the place at times, and I think the decision making in that final third wasn't at best, but the goals we scored were fantastic.
Yep. I'm going to try and find the stats for you. Just quickly, thoughts on sort of Saka's performance. I'm always low to kind of criticize Saka because I don't think it's fair. But like the last 2 games, he's not looked particularly sharp. Is that just a fitness thing for you?
I don't think he is fully sharp. You can see it. I think sometimes he's a bit more decisive in his actions, and I think in this game it was a bit more overthinking it, slowing it down, and trying to just get the job done with, And look, it might just be down to fitness, and I was surprised he started because I thought he didn't look fit against Chelsea, but of course came through towards the end. Was that fact that he was recovering from an injury, but Mikel obviously thought this game against Sevilla, as we saw towards the end, it's a really tough game. Get the win now, and now I think we're top of the group, and it gets us a very good position because we now had maybe our 2 toughest away games. The PSV away is difficult, but Lens and Sevilla, especially Sevilla, out of the way, and you've got a 3 points there, top of the group, and I think next game is Sevilla again at the Emirates, so it sets us up pretty nicely in terms of qualifying to the knockouts.
Yep. Thank you, Ian, for your contribution. Let's agree we can talk about mistakes when we have that experience. Other case, shush. Yeah, I just think it's about putting everything in context. I completely understand those who would say Ramsdale needs to come in straight away or drop Odegaard or do this. By the way, I thought it was a good sign that Odegaard came off tonight. A really good sign because it shows that Arteta's willing to do it. I think he'll play at the weekend, but it's a good sign that's something we haven't seen before. And similarly, Havertz in the right 8, we haven't seen that before. Yeah. So I think both of those things are really encouraging signs. And I just think it's about, for me, I think it's always about process. It's always about mistakes you can't control. You can't control fluke. You can't control crosses that go in over your head. Like you can't control that. You can't control injuries. You can't control all these things. What you can control as a football team, in life, in anything, is your process and what you do. And as long as I see, and I think to be honest, what I think is happening is Arteta is seeing that Raya and Odegaard and whatever are trying to do the right thing. We as fans see the execution and say that's not good enough. I think until he stops seeing them trying to do the right thing, they're going to play, and I probably broadly support that.
Of course.
Let's look at the stats for this evening then. So this is courtesy of Scott Willis on Twitter. So
Show me
1
the field
goal
tilts.
to 2. Where's the field tilt? Wales says, yes!
Come on.
We won on field tilt, guys.
Surprisingly, I can't lie.
That's all that matters. No, ignore everything else. Ignore everything else. There it is. Right. Podcast over.
Wow.
Cheers, guys.
That's all that matters.
Deep touches, zone 14 touches. Yeah, probably broadly what we'd suggest. Interesting that their possession, because I probably would have suggested that we just edged them on possession, but actually they had more possession than us.
But second half, it had all the ball.
Yeah. Well, towards the end, yeah, but I wonder whether our quality in the first half might have changed that. This was possession. You can see Sevilla growing in confidence sort of throughout the game. These are the shot maps. So Sevilla having number of shots inside the box. Arsenal broadly going to the left. Let's talk about some other individual performances then. Tomiyasu. I thought I mentioned it while you were wherever you were, pretending you were busy. I really loved Tomiyasu on the sort of on the diagonal. I thought it was a really nice change. I think what's been happening recently is not only have teams been blocking that, so I think we've spoken about this on the podcast, but teams have stopped coming inside and pulling their winger inside to mark our inverted fullback. They've managed to keep that inside and bring 2 to block our double pivot, and Chelsea did it very well. But what I loved is we've now created more of an angle in the midfield. So Jorginho was dropping out, or Rice was dropping out, and Jorginho was in there, and there's more angles in the midfield, and it was actually off balance. It wasn't an equal 2, but I thought it really, really worked in the game. And clearly, we thought that the spaces were going to be on the right hand side of in their heads of Sevilla's midfield. So I was really pleased with Tomiyasu's performance. Nearly had a goal in the first half, and I thought he was fantastic the whole game.
Yeah, I think it was wasn't surprising because you can see it's been building on the left hand side. The confidence is there now, and I think everything feels more automatic to him now. Having played there more, I think he played there some spurts last season. There was that phase where I think he started there over Zinchenko, or Zinchenko was injured when we started against Salah, and he started a few games there. So he's played there before, and now I think it seems natural to him a bit more. And he really likes to underlap a lot, and he occupies the half space pretty well. And I think when you've got Martinelli holding the width, and Rice not as, I guess, used to playing in that area, Tomiyasu's doing that job for him right now. Obviously, long term, that won't be the case. But he picks up nice positions, and I think his passing is very crisp as well. He's not scared to just hit that first time. And that's one thing, of course, if you're going to play there, you have to do. Because Zinchenko, of course, is our progressor. And if you're progressing at a similar standard, maybe not as high as Zinchenko, but playing that pass to get us forwards, it gives us more, a snappy attack, and that's what you want.
Yeah. Pavel Gasparek says Tomiyasu's hips managed what Tierney's could not. And I think you're right. The one thing I'll say, something's changed with Tomiyasu, his ability to receive. I think when he came, he looked a lot stiffer than he is than he is now. He looks really loose. I know George would probably be talking about his hips, and the hips don't lie. But he's not Zinchenko level. But he's not far off sort of Kivior in terms of the way he can receive it, and you get that added defensive solidity. So he's a really, really strong option for us. I really, really like that. Other individual performances then, who should we cover? We could talk about we could talk about Saliba, but
it's boring now.
Check his passport, mate. That bloke is not 22. He's not.
I find talking about Saliba boring because I just know he's good. I find it annoying how good he is.
And French.
He's just like, there's nothing I can talk about him. But we've just said it, he's so good so many times now. What else can we? What angle can we cover him now? Yeah, he's got great hair. We know that. He's got great pace. Yeah, we know that as well. We know he's a great player.
Yeah.
I think Gabriel's decent as well. I think back towards defending, he really suits him as a player. And Ben White.
Sorry to go. I feel sorry for Gabriel because I think Gabriel could have an incredible performance, and everyone just is still looking at Saliba because he's a joke.
You have to hope that when we start to win major honours, Gabriel will stop, adding that up. And at the end of his career, go, okay, these two are a centre-back partnership, not just Saliba was this clear player.
Yeah. William Gallas can fuck off.
Is he world-class in the first place?
Was William Gallas world-class? Well,
how can a player that's not world-class say he's world-class?
He wore the number 10 shirt, so that's no world-class in my view. Thank you, mate.
Troll.
Thank you, mate. Another impression in the bank, Bhavs. What do you think of that?
I don't know, mate. It was decent. It was decent.
More than you believe. Who else would you go to? George, I thought Jorginho was better. I didn't think he changed the world, but I thought he was better than he played against Chelsea.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think he received it in some nice areas. He had some weird moments at the end where he was like slicing it in the air, like two or three times in a row.
Oh yeah,
Really bizarre.
that was towards the end. I think everyone lost composure.
Yeah, no, true. Yeah, I thought he was better. I think we've covered everyone other than Odegaard, so we should come to Odegaard.
Oh, we should talk about Odegaard. I think I want to talk it from a different angle now. I want to talk about him as like, everything's wrong about Odegaard as a player right now. I want to say it as it looks like he's drained of confidence. I don't know where it's come from, and maybe it's the pressure of the armband or the recent performances, but it looks like he's drained of ideas and confidence, almost like a creative block. And everything he's tried before that was working, he's not doing that as much. And then he's trying to always hold the ball on for too long, and then there's little jewels that he's losing out, and it's kind of building almost maybe a narrative in his mind. Oh, I'm out of confidence. It's not working out for me, and he's not feeling sorry for himself, which I like. He's still trying to work. He's still trying to press, and that off the ball thing is saving him. That's why he's starting for Arsenal, because he keeps chasing the ball and he keeps leading the press. And as long as he keeps doing that, Arteta will start him. But the fact that he took, as you said, it took him off so early to play Havertz on that side is a sign that, okay, now you might be my captain, but I will take you off now. Because if you're not performing to a captain standard, and you're being a passenger, then I'm going to have to take you off. And I'm not saying I take it as a personal shot on the player. I just see a player who's out of confidence. And players go through phases. The best players go through phases where they go out of confidence. Let's see how he is in 2-3 games time. Because all it takes is one goal, and then it can change and it can swing back in his favour.
Yeah. I think confidence is definitely a part of it, 100%. I do feel he's being asked to do different things. He still feels higher than he has been in the last couple of years. So he's arriving earlier and he's almost on the scene sooner, which I don't think suits Odegaard massively in terms of, especially on the transition, but also in the final third just generally. He's often on the last line. I think we've lost something on that side with, I think White is overlapping Saka less. I feel, I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but
yeah, you're right.
It feels less. So yeah, I don't know. I think it can be both things. Of course, two things can be true at the same time. I think Odegaard's lost confidence and isn't playing particularly well, but I also think his role is as an adapter in the team, and playing one way one week, playing another way the next week, and having to do different jobs and leading the press and all those sorts of things can mean that it takes him out of that sort of creative rhythm that maybe we're used to. I don't know. I'm slightly lost on the Odegaard thing at the minute, because I think a few games ago I had a clear idea of like, okay, we're just seeing an adaptation, but now I'm starting to see the execution being off. And I think that is not what I saw before. I think I saw someone whose role had changed, but was still executing it well. But in the last 2 or 3 games, his execution has gone. So yeah maybe that's
why I say it's a confidence, because it seems like a player who's not playing like himself.
Ash, thank you very much for your contribution. I'm presuming Man City, Chelsea, Sevilla, 7 points. We're in a crisis. Some team, yeah. I mean that is kind of look. It's the media washing machine we all live in. We're all going to finish this stream and then pick up our phones and read 27 more opinions or whatever, and it's constant. Everyone's revising everything all the time. Things, it used to be that you had to get your opinion aired, you had to like write a letter to like the Daily Mail, and then by the time you've written it, you think, oh, do you know what? I can't be bothered to just tell your mate. Now everyone can tell each other everyone's opinions all the time. I mean, look what we're doing now. So obviously things are going to feel like a crisis, because there's so much information, so many people saying so many things all the time. So I just think if you can individually take a step back and go, do you know what? We're in a good place. Like it's fine. You can always improve. But I think the idea that, we're going down the toilet and whatever, it's just, I just don't buy that at all. Right. Let's do some questions from our audience. 613 of you in here at the moment. Thank you so much. Lovely stuff.
It's not 10:30.
Mate, the cannonpod pull, let me tell you.
It's active.
Funcho says, Martinelli has now scored in first Champions League start, first Premier League start, League Cup start, and FA Cup start. Baller. Is that true?
Yeah, I saw the stat as well. I think it was an octa.
That is a mad stat. That is a mad stat.
Champions League debut goal, as you said, that's a very important thing. Saka's Champions League debut goal as well. Starboys connecting. There's just one player missing. Neil Smith-Rowe. George was like, oh,
Yeah. Rice plays centre mid, left back.
oh
That's
yeah,
why
Rice is amazing.
I just think that's he's not playing that necessarily. It's just his role. He just goes over. And do you know what? Like, you can talk all you want about where he receives it and line breakers and his role, whatever, but he just can physically dominate people. He can just go and get the ball off you. And when you have someone who can do that consistently against top teams in Europe all over the world, top teams in Europe all over the world, you know what I mean? Top teams all over. It's just over. He's crazy. He's crazy. Alfred the Great says it's 4:30 a.m. here in Thailand. Jeez.
Respect.
Elliot, we covered Tommy earlier. We love him. Should the team be rotated a little for the Sheffield game? Odegaard and Saka given breaks, but knowing Arteta, he'll play Saka even if he loses his left leg.
I would like to think so because it's a home game. And I know that you have to take the league very seriously, and that's obviously a massive aim for us to win a league title, so you can't slop off. But there's certain bench players that we have now that are first team quality, Trossard and co, where they come into the team and the quality won't drop too much. So I would look, I don't think he'll drop Odegaard as a captain, but maybe it's time. Maybe it's time that we see Arteta go a bit bold and go, not drop him, but say, look, he's played a lot of games, Champions League, Chelsea, let me give him a rest. Let me start Havertz there, or Smith Rowe there, or Vieira there as well, and try something else there. Because right now, the right-hand side isn't working to its highest standard, and that's maybe down to the fact that Saka's come back from an injury, Odegaard's out of confidence, and White's not overlapping as much. Change up on that side against that. I mean, if you're going to try it in a game, it will be Sheffield United, not Newcastle away.
Yeah, and I think the argument that like old teams are sitting in against Sevilla didn't sit in. And Odegaard was still a little bit off it, so I think there's still something going on, and look, we just have to see. Lucas Chambers TV says, "What's your opinions on Nketiah? Is his time up?" I thought Nketiah was all right.
He was all right for me. Myself,
he was
myself
Nketiah,
specifically, but that's what it is for me. Is he's Nketiah. And I think fans have created a stigma, and I can see it myself as well at times, is you got Gabriel Jesus, and every time he gets the ball, just as the natural feeling you get, something might happen. Every time Nketiah gets the ball, it's not as much that feeling. It's sometimes actually, when's the foul coming? When's he going to give the ball away? I don't think he's able to create that same level of feeling that Jesus creates, and that's why I think it kind of sucks the energy out of fans at times, and hence why Nketiah doesn't get respect. And sometimes he's a very good player, and he has some very good performances, but he's had, I think, too many recently where he's kind of just sucked the energy out of the attack, where he slows it down, it's a bit less fluid, and sometimes it's effective, sometimes it is, and the Bournemouth game was a prime example. But tonight, I just think a little bit more composure and a little bit more fight. When he's trying, but I think he looks a bit too bulky, in a sense. I think he used to be a little bit faster, a little bit more agile, when he used to come off the bench in 21, 22. I think now he's obviously putting a lot of weight, which is fine for a striker, but I think when he's trying to now burst past a player, he can't do it as much.
Agility, yeah. I have a word in my mind that I think Nketiah is missing. What do you think was Nketiah's best moment last season?
Nketiah's best moment last season? Man
United. I would argue his best moment was that West Ham goal where he took it and turned. Yeah. And what he did there was he made separation. And you don't notice it, but Jesus is constantly able to move away from players just quickly and sharp and get his action off.
Tonight.
And and Eddie just doesn't have that. So I think that's the feeling of him like clogging up the attack. I think it's his ability to create separation in the box, create separation from his marker. He does all his actions fine. He receives it, passes it off or whatever, but it's that next level where someone can burst away from you. And you can do that in a number of different ways. You can feint and go, or you can physically push someone off or whatever, but at the moment he doesn't have that ability. So look, he's Eddie Nketiah. He unfortunately has a cap on his ability, I think, and that's you look, his cap is like a top 6 player. Like it's he's an unbelievable football player, one of the top however many hundred in the world. But it's like the question is that enough for Arsenal with our ambitions? We need the top 50 players in the world in our team. Like it has to be. We have to be aiming for that. So yeah, I just think Eddie is Eddie, and I don't know whether it's worth pondering him too much. Where are we? Let's do one more question. Oh, here we go. Is it time to see Zinchenko in the left central midfield? Because Rice is good in the 8, but he's different levels in the 6. And yeah, I like Rice in the 8, and I think he can do certain things, and he stops transitions quickly and does some nice stuff. And he actually has a nice sort of threaded ball now through to Martinelli, which is really consistent, really starting to pay off. I just think in terms of when you're trying to break a block down, you want someone who's a bit cuter between the lines, in my opinion, than a Rice. He's a little bit heavy-footed, which is great for a presence at the base of midfield. And I wonder, I've always been interested in seeing Zinchenko in a more advanced role. Always have. I'd be keen. So, what do you think?
I'm not sure how he'd do in the final third. That's my concern. Because he plays in the left midfield role if you're talking about what he does when he plays left back. But going forwards, how good has Zinchenko been in that final third to, I don't know, play a 1-2 or make a run to the box into the half space? I actually think Tomiyasu's done it pretty decent. So if he can match that and do it better, because his profile on paper looks more suited. And let's not forget, he started off his career as an attacking midfielder. So if you can replicate that sort of, I guess, dribbling in the final third, then of course. But I just don't know how comfortable he'd be in that position. That being said, though, I do think he has played in that sort of area before for Ukraine. So clearly he's done it before, and maybe Mikel Arteta will try it. I just don't think this weekend.
No, I don't think it'll be this weekend. We might see it in certain games or game states. I don't think we'll start with it. I think the one thing with Zinchenko is in this team, he's been the one playing the pass through the lines. I think can he be the one receiving the pass on the final line? I don't know, and it's a different skill. So we'll see. But yeah, right. We'll finish there. Look, overall, take the positives, guys. Take the positives. Like, we went to Sevilla, really tough away ground. I've got my housemate's a Madrid fan, and he was Spanish, and he was saying at the weekend it's a ridiculous place to go. Everyone in Spain says Sevilla is like one of the least favorite places to go, and that place was up, and we've still got a young team. And yes, things aren't perfect. There's lots to discuss. Odegaard's role, Raya's stuff, our chance creation, all these things. Yes, they're up for debate, 100%. And I don't pretend that my opinion is the right one. But what I do feel is we have to take a step back and go, look, got the 3 points. I appreciate. We're still unbeaten in the league. We're in a really, really good place. So I think we have a lot of reasons to be positive.
Yeah, I think this is the Man City effect on Arsenal fans. You feel like, even though the Champions League is, everything needs to be perfect in every single game if you're going to beat Man City to a title, even though it's Champions League. And I think that's what it is for fans. Like, even when you're winning games, it's like, well, did we win XG? Did we win full tilt? Did we do that? Did we make enough chances?
We won on field tilt, Bhavs.
Yeah.
We won on field tilt.
But my point is, fans will look at little things now, little things that potentially could cost us going into the future. Yeah. And I can see why. It's a mentality that could be costly, but I think, as a fan, enjoy the moment. You've won a game, celebrate, go to sleep, or I don't know, if it's good morning, then have a good day. It could be, man. It could be like 5 a.m.
In Thailand, he said it's 4:30 in Thailand. So
maybe he's going to bed now. So have a good night.
Have a good night or a good day or whenever you're watching this.
Exactly.
And on that note, we shall finish there. Thank you, Bhavs. Joy.
No worries, man. Appreciate
it. Get your internet sorted. Thanks. How the turns have tabled, my friend.
Hey, they don't know about that.
Thanks as always for watching. We'll see you on the next instant reaction after Sheffield. George might be there. George had to work this evening. If you want to know where he was, go check out our recent podcast, which we put out yesterday. Like this video, subscribe to the Cannon Podcast channel, and sign up on Patreon, or sign up for 7 days on a free trial. See if you like it, and if you don't, no problem. Thanks as always. Peace.
Mine's was first.
Well, mine was better.
No, it was.
No, it wasn't.